Hey guys, Brian Wilson here. I'm an Eastman Euphonium artist and happy to talk to you about the regional and all-state etudes. Let's start off with number one. The biggest thing about this one is that you really want to make sure that you show all the articulations and dynamics and really showcase those rhythms at the right tempo. Now here's the thing, after listening to lots and lots of regional and all-state etudes and auditions and whatnot, I can tell you concretely that playing the right information with the right notes, even if you have to slow it down a little bit, is better than playing the tempo and just bullying your way through all that stuff. So, number one, play it right, get the rhythms, get the articulations, get everything that's on the page. There's so much there. That is the filter that is going to keep you in or keep you out. Can you play it with all that information or can you not? So if you can, great. What tempo can you play it at? What's your best tempo? Then, if you can get it closer to 104, you're going to get more points, obviously. Okay, but the big thing is playing the right information. Let's show a lot of bounce to this. Allegretto giacoso, show a lot of bounce to this, but watch out that you're getting those syncopated rhythms popping when they're supposed to, okay? All right, let's move on to number two. This one you can play a little bit with the tempo. Obviously, if you're practicing with a metronome, it's going to mess you up because you got that stringendo. We're going to push and pull the tempo a little bit until we hit that molto ritardando. Then we're going to pull back down, get very soft. We're going to take a breath, and we're going to come in on the other side, tempo. Make sure, if you can, show lots of vibrato, show lots of emotion in this. Definitely show the dynamics. Okay, but again, nothing is at the expense of playing the right notes and the right rhythms. And then, yes, show me everything that's on the page and as much emotion as you possibly can. All right, so we're going to move on to number three. This one bounces. This one bounces. This is a lot of fun. I would say this is very pirate, swashbuckling type thing. And you want to have that lilt like you're dancing. Yum, ba-da-da-da-tum, ba-da-da-da-dee-dum, bum-bum. Anytime you have a note that's a little longer, let's go ahead, even if it doesn't have an accent, let's go ahead and accent on it. So like in the second measure, you've got that quarter. Okay, that's an agogic accent is what that is, and it's going to make your piece jump a little bit better. Slow down the tempo if you need to make sure that you can get all the notes in there so you're not rushing through this one. This is a nice fingering for this one. It lies underneath the hand. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, but again, if it's too fast for you at a quarter equals 76, let's pull it back. Get as close to that as possible, but play the right notes, right rhythms, steady tempo. Don't be switching around. This one has a little bit of up and down. There's no real quick dynamics except for the third line where we're going from piano to a little bit mezzo forte, then zip towards the end. All right? Okay, we're going to move on to our all-state etudes. Number 3, remember, is an all-state etude and regional etude. Number 4 is an all-state etude. The most important thing is it's in 5/8, so when you're putting your metronome on at 180, it's fine, except for this is a 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 or 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. So it's got a little bounce into it. Okay, it's still a dance. It just happens to mean 5/8. So watch out. 2 sharps. Okay, F sharp and C sharp for my bass clef friends. Leggero, light, bouncy. No matter that this is kind of the technical etude for all state, and it's going to test you because of rhythms and fingerings and stuff like that, gotta still play it light. Don't make this super articulated. It's very easy to do that, especially on the second line when we hit that 5/8. You want to stay that mezzo piano. I know you're going to want a crescendo, okay? Don't do it, okay? And then you got to slow to fast practice the 3/8, because let me tell you, that's a beast right there to get all those fingerings down and to make sure you're decrescendoing down to the pianissimo. We're going to get slower as we crescendo a little bit. You're going to take a breath at the top you can, and then reset yourself back to the odd tempo for the next line. And this is a fun one. Practice this one. You're definitely going to want to slow to fast practice on this one. Okay, take a look at that third line. You want to make sure that you can play that a ton of times in a row the way that you want it to go, all right? Okay, but don't forget, this whole thing is still supposed to have emotion. You're still supposed to bounce as you're doing this. All right, etude number 5. Okay, so here's the thing and a trick for you guys, okay, or a tip for you, is that when you're looking at this, please do not show up to an audition and not know what the word says on there. If you do not know what the Italian translation is for some of this stuff, then you need to look it up, okay? Or ask your band director, because it's telling you how to play the music right. I'll tell you, 75% of getting into regionals and then all-state is just play what's on the page correctly. That's rhythms, that's notes, and that's every articulation and dynamic that's on the page, as well as the words like, for example, molto lirico e espressivo. I don't speak Italian very well, but I do know that that means very lyrical and expressive. So this, again, is a pretty exercise. It does tell me that I can push and pull the tempo just a skosh if I want to. If I want to pull and nuance some 16th notes like you may have heard me do, then that's fine, okay? You don't have to keep it quite with the beat. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? It does have to have that sense, but you can nuance some things a little bit. Don't go overboard. A teeny dash of that will go a long way. Okay, so when we look at this, the first thing that a lot of people have a problem with is a second measure. You've got a combined articulation. How the heck do you do staccato and tenuto? Well, the idea is that you're going to tongue it like tenuto, which you're going to tongue it very brushed articulation, very light, almost like you're trying to slur. You're in the middle of a slur, but it is an articulation. Okay, and then you're going to add the staccato, which means to separate, right? So it's got that brushed articulation, but it's got lift. So think about your string player, and you're just very relaxed and pulling that bow, but you lift off for a second, and then you keep going. Okay, it's not really enough room for a breath most of the time. It's just a little bit of space, okay? All right, moving on, we have the next problem comes on our second line, third measure. You've got grace notes. Now, here's the thing about these grace notes, is it took an extra keystroke to get rid of the slash from them. So I personally interpret them as that it's supposed to start on the beat when it has no slash, and it starts before the beat when it does have the slash. Here's the thing, you're not going to be kept out of regionals and all-state because, well, this is an all-state etude, because you didn't start it on the beat or start it before the beat, whatever it is, okay? The difference is making sure you're selling what you have. I started those 2 quarter notes on the beat, ta-da, ta-da, ta-da-da, ta-da-da. That's fine. If you want to do ta-da, ta-da, ta-da-da, ta-da-da. It is what it is, okay? Sometimes it just tells people that it's like, oh, they probably listened to a video, blah, 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 okay? They're not going to take points away from you, okay? But you do need to make sure that they're grace notes. They are ornaments to the big notes. Make sure the big notes don't suffer it because you played the first note too loud. Ta-da, not ta-da, okay? All right, and then rubato, pushing and pulling of the tempo a little bit, but don't go overboard on that, right? And then we finish out, probably one of the harder parts in this piece is going to be that last line. T-O-T-O-T-O-T, okay? Mostly just because of the control that it takes to do that, okay? Remember, if as you're decrescendoing, if you're going to lose the note, then maybe don't play that soft, right? Okay, play it a dynamic that's going to work well for you. So I'm going to wrap up all of these etudes for you. Number one, do the best you can. And that's with the tempos, that's with the notes, that's the rhythms, okay? Play the best that you can, and that may mean that you're not playing at 72, that you're not playing at 180, you're not playing at whatever the tempo it is for there. Do your best no matter what. People do not want to hear you play at 180 and just absolutely destroy it, versus if you played it at 160, it would have been beautiful, okay? Of course, if you don't play the right tempo, you should not be considered for a higher amount of points if someone comes in and plays the same way you did at the correct tempo, right? That would be harder, so they should get a little bit more points. Okay, so remember what I said earlier, 75% of making regionals and All-State is literally just playing what's on the page. Okay, can you define the rhythms, the articulations? Can you play it at tempo? Can you play the notes and rhythms? Everything that's there. The last 25% is your choices of that. How loud, how soft, how short, okay, how accented are you doing, okay? Because it's kind of like saying, what is the right color red for a fire engine? Okay, you can choose red, but that last 25% of artistry is picking the exact right color red to represent it, okay? Same thing with these etudes. One, I would definitely make sure, the last couple things here, okay, I would definitely make sure that you write in your breaths, okay? Write in where you want to breathe. Don't write in fingerings as much as you possibly can. Learn the music as best as you possibly can, but write yourself notes like, here, now, where do you want to go to? This is the moment, that type of stuff in your music. So you have a little bit of an arc of how you want to play it, okay? Hey guys, I know you're going to do a great job, okay? Make sure you're fully prepared to walk in that room to play these 3 etudes that you're going to play from this. But before that, don't forget there's 2 things you're going to have to do. You're going to have to play 2 scales, and you're going to play a chromatic scale. I can't tell you how often people walk into that audition and it seems like a surprise that they had to play chromatic. And there's only 2 ways you're going to play chromatic. Ready? You're going to play it either in triplets, because you're going to play it all in one breath. Okay, if you can play it in one breath, great, awesome. Okay, that means the bottom and the top note are going to line up with a beat. Okay, if you can't do it in one breath, then I would think in duples. So you can have time to take a breath afterwards. There's this weird interval between if I'm doing duples and I have room for a breath, I'm not only going to be able to play it so fast, and if I do it in triplets, I'm going to have to play it pretty fast in order to get through it in one breath. As far as the scales, let's talk about the scales, okay? Remember, you will play a chromatic scale. Make sure that is not a surprise. You will. Make sure you're playing that as more, probably even more than the actual scales themselves. But on the scales, yeah, they could ask for any scale, okay? There's 12 scales. They could choose any scale. I will tell you probably the most dangerous scale is B flat. Why? You're thinking, well, I mean, I started on the B flat scale. It's probably my first scale test. Yeah, but this one's 2 octaves, right? That really tests you. Can you get up to the high B flat? Can you play it well without chipping? Now, if you show all the right notes, you should get a 50, or at least as high as that auditioner is giving points out for that day. You should max it out if you play the right articulations, okay, slurring versus tongue, whatever it asks for, okay, and if you play all the right notes in a consistent tempo. Should be it, okay? Great scales, B flat, A natural, A flat. Man, those are the highest 3 scales. They show some sharps, show some flats. Then you got G and G flat. Okay, concert pitch, of course, right now is what I'm talking about. Those scales right there, those are the biggies. Anything after that, E natural, that's a little bit lower. Any 1 octave scale, well, they still can ask for it, right? Okay, so you got to be ready for everything. So my recommendation is to get a deck of cards, okay, flashcards, and write out all the scales on them. And for B flat, A natural, A flat, G, and G flat, I'd probably put in a couple of extra there. and make yourself a little playing card set and then deal out 2 scales for your practice audition. And those are the scales you'll play. Then you'll play the chromatic. Then the next day, shuffle them up, 2 scales, then you have your chromatic. And then jump into your etudes and then sight read. Just do your best. Make sure you show lots of emotion. If you need to pull back in the tempo, do so. Okay? Show us your best version of that. All right? Hey guys, I wish you the best of luck. Take care now.